A quick history lesson at DAWSON'S Auctioneers, Maleeka style. People, it's Maleeka from Meeks Speaks. Today we're at some place, DAWSON'S Auctions in Maidenhead. And I've got the Disney mascot here, Mickey Mouse. You all know him from your childhood. But something special about this Mickey Mouse. He's one of the very first ever made, and it's probably one of the oldest objects in this room. I'm here with lovely Rachel. She's the pro in all this stuff.
I'm an auctioneer and valuer.
First, can you tell me a bit more information about this?
Yeah, so this Mickey Mouse dates from about the 1930s, and he would have been bought as a toy for a child who was absolutely in love with the cartoon. But the lovely thing about him is that he's in such good condition, and that he's got his little white gloves on. You can see these would have probably have been a bit more cream originally. He's aged a little, and he still has his tail, which is lovely. So this is the sort of thing that collectors absolutely adore, because it's ephemera from a childhood that most of us, of course, no longer have, and he represents a different period of history.
So here we have a beautiful, what would you call this, a bangle?
It's a bangle, yes, absolutely.
So tell me a bit more about this beautiful piece of jewellery.
So this bangle is set with old cut diamonds, and it's enamelled, and it would date from the latter half of the 19th century. It's very likely French. And it's made, as you can see, with a very careful ribbon twist mount, so it looks like a piece of folded fabric. And then what's happened is that they've applied enamel on top of it in blue and white, so it looks like a ribbon, which is absolutely lovely. And you can imagine a lady wearing this on a night out in 1880 or 1890, and being the belle of the ball.
And where do you think this one came from?
That's a very good question. So the nice, exciting thing with pieces like this is that the history is often long gone with it.
Wow.
This particular piece we know has come from a client in Scandinavia who's, I believe, took it from a family, and they inherited it down through France. So it's likely that this would have been bought by quite a wealthy person, probably as a present for her, because it's one of those sort of very rare things, but it's been kept in wonderful condition. Now you can see it's got a little bit of enamel loss, which is quite usual for a piece like this. So this is being priced at $600 to $800 in the upcoming auction. So it's one of those things that is at a level that if you do collect pieces like this, it's within the affordable range, and it is something that hopefully will last for another 100 or 200 years.
It just feels, you can tell the ancient kind of history of it. You can tell like the details have been kind of gently engraved into the bangle, and the ribbon is just so many little things that maybe at one glance you wouldn't notice, but when you actually take a good feel at it, you can really feel just like this little piece with like the design here, and even the front section, it's got like the cuts in it. And to me, it's just an ancient piece of history that has meaning, which, I love meaning stuff.
And you can feel at the side here at the back, with this part, you can feel it's like a buckle as well, can't you? So you see you can actually have it tighter or narrower.
Yeah. This is a medical box with all the original type of medicines people would have used. I'm fascinated with this. This is all the original powders and like the chemicals people would have used to become, or apparently become healthy again.
So do you think, we've got one here that's rhubarb powder from Turkey.
Oh.
And we've got, I think it's that pomegranate that says. We've got all sorts of different things. So do you think these would have been healthy to take?
Probably not, you probably die. So what year is this thing from?
So this particular one is Regency. It dates from around about 1820, and it's got all of these glass bottles from the Llewellyn brothers of Glamorgan in. And there are similar pieces which have been found. There's one in the Science Museum. You can see there, which is in Piccadilly. So this one is 7,000 to 10,000, and it's got a wonderful selection inside once you open it with the drawers. And again, you can see here these lovely little fitted rings, which would have been so expensive at the time. Beautiful to make.
What is the box made of?
So the box is mahogany, and it's got marquetry. It's got brass inlay here. You see the metal on the side of the drawer. Yes, you've got that. And then because it's a travelling case as well, what you've got at the top, if you feel on the top of the box,
this is the handle.
Is the handle, but if it pushes it flat, it's completely smooth on the top.
So one more question, who would buy this nowadays?
That's a really good question. So there are a lot of collectors out there for medical paraphernalia, is the sort of word that you'd use for it. So it might be something that a doctor might buy, or it might be something that was simply bought by somebody who was interested in science and wanted some relics from the 19th century to show exactly how we used to treat things.
And our final object for today, Well, this is not an object, not like a piece of clothing, but this is a 19th century woman's dress. And this, let me just say, look at this detail. You can definitely tell where all these sculptures, I don't know how to say it, sculptures, people who make sculptures, people who make them, you know what I'm talking about, where they get all the detail from. Because I've seen sculptures.
And paintings, of course, Victorian paintings.
The paintings, the art, but I've never really seen one of these real dresses. And you can just see it, like the lace on the cuffs and like the floral designs and like the bodice of the dress. So Rachel, I'm going to ask you this again. Tell me a little bit more about this beautiful dress.
So this particular dress is 19th century. It's possibly something we did wonder if it had been used as a costume, perhaps for a play, because of course the style is in fact a little bit older than it is. But if you look here, you even have a little label there saying Mademoiselle Janine of Harrington Road, South Kensington, which is where it came from. Now on this one, if you look under here, you can see you've got this lovely interior to it. You can see the way it's been hand stitched. You've got this lovely detail of the lace, which is all handmade, and you can see the reverse here of the fabric. So it's absolutely lovely. It's got wonderful detail. Now, can you imagine how tiny the lady would have had to have been to wear this? Because of course, if we look at her from the side, you can see here she's got this lovely train to the back, and then of course she's got the pin, so she would have worn this with a corset.
What was the trend of having like a really kind of slim figure in a body?
That's interesting. So, like we were saying earlier, with influences changing from the royal families of the past to people now, you have all these different changes that people have gone through for what constitutes beautiful. So Venus has gone from being a great buxom lady to a tiny frail flower of a thing, and in the 19th century the popularity was for slender, small, delicate, feminine ladies who didn't do things they shouldn't have done, which is why the suffragette movement was of course so exciting, because suddenly women said, no, I want to do things.
Just like women who carried babies, were in the kitchen barefoot and often were at their men's mercy.
Absolutely, we weren't taught to read, and we were sort of denied all sorts of things now, which is of course what feminism is all about, isn't it? And we want to be able to teach these stories. And
equality. Women are equal.
Absolutely, that's it.
And that just shows that, like, again, us having this conversation brought up by the dress. Thank you, dress.
Thank you, dress. It's part of the story.
Does this dress represent how women who were often portrayed to be frail and like delicate were probably only put in that position because of men, and how they were scared that if someone were to speak up, it would kind of lower their power?
That's a very interesting question and deserves a very long and complicated answer, more than I can give. But I think it's a very good question. Costume has always certainly represented that. And when Coco Chanel started designing her clothes in the early part of the 19th century, the first thing she wanted with the emancipation of women, it was that freedom. She got rid of the corset. She said it was okay to wear a shorter skirt. Wear something more comfortable. Wear something that you can eat a slice of pizza in if you want to. It was certainly a move away from that. And during the war, of course, the fashions changed immeasurably, as we know. And during the Second World War, it became more structured as women started gaining more equality in the workplace. So eventually now we are at a point where, of course, if we want to wear a business suit, we can. If we want to wear this, we can. Well, we might stand out in Waitrose in that. But you have those different options now because of the changes that women pushed forward.
And what price did women have to pay to get what we have today, our freedom?
That's a really good question. I think with, when you certainly look at the suffragette movement, which I'm sure you've been studying, it's a case that people often had to be arrested, they had to stand in public, they had to scream and shout and be annoying, and of course a lot of them had the full support of their husbands and families, because the whole point of equality is it raises up everybody. We're all going to be about the same. So when we're looking at the lady who wore this, who knows what her beliefs were or her aspirations, but it's exciting to think how those have changed over the years.
So what do you think is the most exciting and interesting thing you've ever seen at this place?
Oh, that's a very good question. We get lots of different things in. So one of my most exciting finds was a very large sapphire, which the owner didn't realise was a very rare and very valuable sapphire, and we sold that for £26,000 eventually, and that was lovely, just to open that little pouch and see this big blue glittering stone inside and thinking, I know what that is.
I know what it is.
I know what.
Another question on the sapphire. How do you know it is real?
That's a really good question. So I'm a gemologist, which means that I've studied gemology and I've studied the construct of stones and the chemicals behind them. So with gemstones, a lot of it, as we've saying, is about appearance. So it's about the luster, it's about the colour, it's about the clarity of the stone. And a lot of synthetics have little telltale signs that if you know what to look for, you can kind of identify. So it's quite a rare thing, kind of like looking at a real diamond.
Found any fake ones before?
Lots of times.
Wow.
So we often have to disappoint people by saying, I'm very sorry, but your diamond ring is not a diamond. But usually what we get through the auctions are a variety of different qualities and different colours of things. So there's always something for somebody.
And if there were fakes, do you think back then they would have what we would have called like a modern day scam? Like people would have tried to sell people real things or fake things?
They did. So for as long as we've been buying anything valuable, there have been fakes. So this is the same with coins. When we first invented coins, there were copies. And they've been creating fake gemstones, paste gemstones, since the 15th, 16th centuries. If you ever get a chance to see the Cheapside Hoard, which is a very interesting find in London, they dug that up out of the cellars just on the Cheapside, and there were plenty of paste stones among those, fake rubies, fake emeralds, but beautiful quality.
And one more question. How much intuition plays a part in finding all these things?
Oh, that's a good one. So with a lot of what we handle, a lot of it is our experience. We've all got different areas of expertise. And when you've handled things enough, you do kind of get a feel of it from the weight and the feel of the quality. And like you were saying about Mickey Mouse earlier, you can just feel from the quality of the fabric that it's old. It's not a copy. It's got that genuine feel to it. So a lot of that is very much based on instinct. Well, the nice thing, as you've just discovered going through these boxes, is that we never know what we're going to find. You find all sorts of exciting pieces.
It's like a treasure hunt.
It's a treasure hunt. So that's what we do for a profession. This is why we want to get more young girls interested in the subject.
3 things that I've learnt from this beautiful and amazing trip. Firstly, objects have a story to tell. No matter how old or new they are, they've been passed down hand by hand and they've had history. 2, this job is so cool. And it's probably so fun to see all these new objects coming in all the time. And it's VIP accessible because you can go behind all the horrible glass and actually put your fingers on them and feel. I loved it. And 3, it's all about direct experience. You must ensure that every time you go to a place, you have to get the best out of that place and see or feel or hear or touch whatever you can to get that sensory or just visual experience. Because direct experience is better than just reading from a textbook, obviously.